The jungle wanted him dead. Every step Dax Morrison took through the thick undergrowth felt like walking through a nightmare made of plants and shadows. Sharp vines grabbed at his boots. Strange flowers hissed and spat when he got too close. The air was so thick in what it felt like breathing soup. Behind him, maybe half a mile back through all that green hell, his ship was still burning. He could see the orange glow lighting up the sky even through the canopy of alien trees. Black smoke rose in a thick column. There went 3 years of savings and every credit he had to his name. The crash had been bad. Real bad. His head still rang from where it had smacked against the console. Dax touched his temple and his fingers came away red. Blood. Great. Just perfect. He wiped it on his pants and kept moving. The distress beacon on his vest blinked its weak little pulse. Red light. Red light. Red light. Over and over. Maybe someone would see it. Maybe they would not. This planet was quarantined for a reason. Nobody came here. Nobody was supposed to be here. Including him. The glowing vines wrapped around the tree trunks pulsed with blue and purple light. Bioluminescent. That was the fancy word for it. It would have been pretty if Dax was not bleeding and lost and alone. The light made everything look strange. Shadows moved in ways they should not. Every sound made him jump. He needed to find shelter. The emergency pod from his ship had deployed somewhere in this mess. If he could just find it before nightfall, he might survive until the beacon brought help. If it brought help. Big if. That was when she hit him. No warning. No sound. Just sudden violence. 1 second Dax was pushing through a curtain of those glowing vines. The next second something slammed into him from the side with enough force to crack ribs. The world spun. His back hit the ground hard enough to knock the air from his lungs. Rotting leaves exploded around him. Something that might have been a bug the size of his fist went flying. Then he saw her face. Pale violet skin. Eyes like pools of oil, completely black from edge to edge. Teeth sharp as broken glass snapping at his throat. He got his arm up just in time. Her teeth scraped against his forearm guard instead of his neck. Valkyrie. He had heard stories. Everyone who worked the outer colonies had heard stories. The Valkyrie were not supposed to exist anymore. They had been wiped out in the war. Or driven to the edge of known space. Or something. The stories never matched up. But everyone agreed on one thing. If you saw a Valkyrie, you were probably about to die. This one was trying her best to make that happen. She was fast. Faster than anything he had ever seen. Her claws raked across his chest armor, leaving deep scratches in the reinforced plating. She moved like water, like smoke, like something that did not have to follow the normal rules. Every time he tried to block, she was already somewhere else. Already striking from a new angle. Dax rolled hard to the left. Her next strike hit the ground where his head had been a second before. Her claws sank 6 inches into the dirt. He kicked out. Caught her in the ribs. She barely seemed to notice. He scrambled backward, trying to get space, trying to think. She came after him on all fours, moving like a hunting cat. Her lips pulled back from those sharp teeth. A sound came from her throat. Not quite a growl. Not quite a hiss. Something worse. She was young. That thought cut through the panic in his brain. Young. Maybe 19, 20 if you converted to human years. Hard to tell with aliens, but something about her face said young. Her arms and shoulders were covered in scars. Old scars. New scars. Scars on top of scars. The kind you got from training. From fighting. From being hurt over and over until you learned to hurt back. A child soldier. The thought made something twist in his chest, but there was no time for sympathy. She launched herself at him again. This time Dax was ready. He dove to the side and his hand found the sonic mine he had planted 3 minutes ago when he first heard something moving in the bushes. He had not known what he was hearing. Just that something was stalking him. His thumb hit the trigger. The pulse was invisible, but the effect was not. The air seemed to ripple. The sound hit a frequency that human ears could barely register, but it felt like being punched in the chest by a giant. The Valkyrie girl was lifted off her feet and thrown sideways. She hit a tree trunk with a sick cracking sound. She crumpled. Fall. Lay still. Dax stayed down, breathing hard, waiting to see if she would get back up. Seconds passed. She did not move. He could see her ribs rising and falling. Still alive then. Good. He did not want to kill her. He did not want to kill anyone if he could help it. Slowly, carefully he got to his feet. His whole body hurt. Tomorrow he was going to be covered in bruises. There was a tomorrow. He approached her the way you would approach a wounded animal. Slow steps. Hands visible. Ready to run if she woke up swinging. When he got close enough he could see the blood. A deep gash across her ribs where she had hit the tree. The bark had torn right through the tough skin. Dark purple blood, almost black, was spreading across her side. She needed help. Medical attention. He was probably insane for even thinking about it. She had just tried to kill him. Would try again when she woke up. That was what Valkyrie did. Everyone knew that. But Dax had never been great at doing the smart thing. He knelt beside her. Pulled his medkit from his belt. The kit was meant for humans, but biology was biology. Stop the bleeding. Prevent infection. Basic field medicine was the same everywhere. When he touched her side, she snarled. Even unconscious, her body knew to fight. Her claws flexed. Dax froze. Waited. She did not wake. He worked fast. Antiseptic. Bandage. Pressure. The bleeding slowed. Stopped. Not a perfect job, but it would hold. Easy, he said quietly, even though she could not hear him. I'm not going to hurt you. She hissed something. Words in a language he did not know. Valkyrie. It sounded like gravel scraping on metal. Then her eyes rolled back and she went fully limp. Completely unconscious now. Dax sat back on his heels and looked at her. Really looked at her. She was small. Thin. All muscle and bone and scars. There was a collar mark around her neck like something had been locked there for years. Her hands were calloused and rough. A fighter. A killer. But also just a kid who had been hurt too many times. Stupid Morrison, he muttered to himself. You're so damn stupid. But he was already moving. Already sliding his arms under her. One arm under her shoulders. One under her knees. She was lighter than he expected. He lifted her carefully, mindful of her wound, and stood. The emergency shelter was out there somewhere. His beacon would lead him to it. And now he was carrying an unconscious alien warrior who would definitely try to kill him again when she woke up. Just another day in paradise. Dax adjusted his grip and started walking. The jungle glowed around them. The blood on his head had dried. The beacon on his vest kept pulsing. Red light. Red light. Red light. He carried her into the darkness between the trees. The scream tore through the shelter like a siren. Dax jerked awake, his hand going for the weapon that was not there. His heart hammered against his ribs. For a second he forgot where he was. Then he saw her. The Valkyrie girl was awake. And she was not happy about it. She thrashed on the medical cot, claws fully extended, slashing at the air. Her black eyes were wide and wild. The medical wrap around her ribs pulled tight as she twisted and fought against nothing. Against everything. A sound came from her throat that was half snarl, half something that might have been fear. Hey, calm down. Dax shouted over her screaming. He raised both hands high where she could see them. Empty hands. No weapons. No threat. He backed up until his shoulders hit the shelter wall. Put as much distance between them as the small space would allow. She kept thrashing for another few seconds. Then she seemed to realize she was not being attacked. Her movements slowed. Stopped. She sat up on the cot, breathing hard, eyes darting around the shelter like a trapped animal looking for exits. That was when she saw the food. Dax had left 3 ration packets on the small table beside the cot. Next to them sat a canteen of water. Clean water. Filtered and safe. The girl's eyes locked onto the food and something changed in her expression. The wild panic faded. Confusion took its place. Her head tilted. She looked at the food. Looked at Dax. Back to the food. Her claws slowly retracted. You're not killing me? The words came out harsh and grating. A small device on her collar crackled and beeped, translating her Valkyrie speech into something Dax could understand. The translator was old. The kind soldiers wore. It gave her voice a mechanical edge that made her sound even more alien. Nope, Dax said. He kept his hands up. Kept his voice calm. The way you talk to a spooked horse. Not planning to. He slowly lowered himself to sit against the opposite wall. The shelter was not big. Maybe 12 feet across. A prefab emergency pod designed to keep one person alive for a week. 2 people would be tight. 2 people who had been trying to kill each other a few hours ago? That was downright awkward. Eat, Dax said, nodding toward the ration bars. You need it. She stared at him. Just stared. Her black eyes did not blink. Did not move. It was unnerving. Humans blinked. He got used to the rhythm of it. But her eyes stayed open and fixed on him like she was trying to see through his skull into his brain. A full minute passed. Maybe more. The shelter hummed quietly around them. Life support. Air recycling. The sounds of staying alive. Then she moved. It was not a normal movement. She did not reach for the food like a person. She moved like a wild thing. Like something that had spent its whole life expecting the world to hurt it. Her hand shot out fast and grabbed one of the ration bars. She pulled it back to her chest. Held it there. Protected it. Then she tore into it with her teeth. The wrapper shredded. She did not even try to open it properly. Just bit through plastic and foil and everything. She ate like she had never seen food before. Like it might disappear if she did not eat it fast enough. Chunks of the compressed protein bar disappeared into her mouth. She barely chewed. Just swallowed and tore off another piece. Dax pretended not to watch. He looked at the wall. At his hands. At the blinking lights on the control panel. Anywhere but at her. He knew what desperate hunger looked like. Had seen it in war zones. In refugee camps. In all the dark corners of the galaxy where people got forgotten. It made something ache in his chest to see it now. She finished the first bar in under 30 seconds. Grabbed the second one. This time she ate a little slower. Like her stomach was remembering what food felt like. Why? The word came out around a mouthful of ration bar. Dax looked over. Why what? She swallowed. Took a drink from the canteen. Water ran down her chin. She wiped it away with the back of her hand and fixed those black eyes on him again. Why help? She asked. The translator crackled. Humans kill Valkyrie. Valkyrie kill humans. This is the way. This is what we do. So why? Seems like a stupid way to me, Dax said. She blinked. Finally blinked. Stupid. Yeah, stupid. Killing each other because that's what we've always done? That's just dumb. Doesn't mean I have to do it. She stared at him like he had just said the sky was green or water was dry. Like the words did not make sense in any language. Before she could respond, the world outside decided to remind them it existed. Thunder cracked so loud the shelter walls shook. Not normal thunder. This was different. Wrong. The sound had an electric quality that made Dax's teeth ache. Through the small viewport he could see the sky turning colors it should not be. Purple lightning forked across black clouds. Then green lightning. Then something that might have been red or might have been his eyes playing tricks. Electromagnetic storm. The planet had them every few days. The scientists said it had something to do with the magnetic field and the ionosphere and a bunch of other words Dax had not understood. What he did understand was that the storms were deadly. The lightning could cook you from the inside out. The temperature swings could freeze you solid or boil you alive depending on which way the wind blew. Another crack of thunder. The temperature display on the wall started dropping. 70 degrees. 60. 50. Falling fast. Oh hell, Dax muttered. The lights flickered. The hum of the life support changed pitch. Got quieter. Not good. Very not good. Then everything went dark. Emergency lights kicked in a second later. Dim red bulbs that barely lit the space. The heating system was completely silent now. That power's out, Dax said mostly to himself. He moved to the control panel. Checked the readings. Battery backup will keep air recycling for a while but heat's gone. Emergency thermal system might last an hour. Maybe. 40 degrees now. 30. The cold came fast on this planet. Fast and mean. Dax could already see his breath misting in the air. The Valkyrie girl was not built for cold. Her species came from a hot world. Desert world. She was already shivering. Trying to hide it but failing. He made a decision. Come here, Dax said. He pulled the emergency thermal blanket from the storage locker. The thing was designed for extreme environments. Reflected body heat. Trapped warmth. Could keep you alive in sub-zero temperatures if you used it right. He opened it up. Held it out. The girl bared her teeth at him. Actually showed her fangs. No. You'll freeze, Dax said. He kept his voice level. Reasonable. Look, I'm not interested in dying tonight. And I need you alive to keep me warm too. Mutual survival. Body heat. Basic physics. Come on. She shook her head. Pulled her knees up to her chest. Wrapped her arms around them. She was shaking hard now. Her lips were turning a darker shade of purple. Stubborn, Dax said. He wrapped the blanket around his own shoulders. Settled back against the wall. 20 degrees. The cold was biting now. Painful. Dax could feel it sinking into his bones. His fingers were going numb. He tucked his hands under his arms. 20 minutes passed. Maybe 25. Hard to tell. Time got weird when you were cold. The girl was curled in a tight ball now. Shaking so hard her teeth chattered. That sound. The clicking of teeth against teeth. It cut through the silence of the shelter like gunshots. Then she moved. She uncurled. Slowly. Like every movement hurt. She crawled across the floor on her hands and knees. Stopped a few feet away from Dax. Her pride was still fighting. Still telling her this was wrong. Dangerous. Stupid. But her body was smarter than her pride. She crawled the last few feet. Sat down beside him. Stiff as a board. Every muscle locked tight. Ready to run or fight or both. Dax did not say anything. Did not make a big deal of it. Just lifted the blanket and wrapped it around both of them. Her body was like sitting next to a statue. Hard. Cold. Rigid. She held herself so tense it had to hurt. Relax, Dax murmured. I'm not going to hurt you. You keep saying that. Her voice was quiet now. The translator barely picked it up. Because it's true. Outside the storm raged. Lightning painted the viewport in crazy colors. Thunder shook the ground. The temperature kept dropping but slower now. The blanket was working. Their combined body heat was building up in the small space between them. Slowly, so slowly Dax almost did not notice at first, the girl started to relax. Her shoulders dropped. Just a fraction. The tension in her back eased. Her breathing changed. Got deeper. Steadier. Less like someone expecting to be attacked at any second. An hour passed. Then two. The storm showed no signs of stopping. Dax's eyes got heavy. He let them close. Just for a minute. Just to rest. When he opened them again he did not know how much time had passed. The shelter was warmer. The storm was still going but quieter now. And there was a weight against his shoulder. He looked down. The girl had fallen asleep. Her head had tilted over. Now it rested against his shoulder. Her face was pressed into the fabric of his jacket. One of her hands had come up to grip his sleeve. Not hard. Not threatening. Just holding on. Her face looked different asleep. Younger. The hard edges softened. The scars were still there but they did not look as angry. For maybe the first time in her whole life she looked peaceful. Dax stared down at her. This deadly warrior. This train killer. This girl who had tried to rip his throat out a few hours ago. Now sleeping against him like a tired kid who had finally found somewhere safe. What am I doing? He whispered to the darkness. The storm had no answer. The shelter hummed quietly. The girl slept on. Dax could have moved. Should have moved. Put some distance between them. Stayed alert. Stayed ready. But he did not move. He sat there in the dark with a sleeping alien warrior using his shoulder as a pillow. Outside the storm painted the world in impossible colors. Inside two enemies who should have killed each other kept each other warm and alive. Sometimes survival made you do strange things. Sometimes strange was better than dead. The first 2 days were quiet. Awkward quiet. The kind where two people share a small space and do not know what to say to each other. They orbited around the shelter like planets that did not want to collide. She stayed on her side. He stayed on his. They ate in silence. Slept in shifts. Did not talk much. On the third day she told him her name. Dax was working on the power cells. The storm had fried half the connections and he was trying to splice them back together. Delicate work. His fingers were still cold and stiff but the job needed doing. The backup battery would not last forever. She had been watching him for the past hour. Just sitting cross-legged on the floor, those black eyes following every movement of his hands. Not threatening. Just curious. Like she had never seen someone fix things before. Kira, she said suddenly. Dax looked up. What? My name. Kira. She said it like she was testing the word. Like maybe she had not said it out loud in a long time. Just Kira? Dax asked. He went back to the wiring. Red wire to red terminal. Blue wire to blue. Do not cross them or the whole thing would short out again. We don't get full names, she said. Her voice had that flat quality. The way people talk about horrible things when they have gotten so used to them the horror does not register anymore. Not until first confirmed kill. Then we earn a family name. A clan name. Become full members. Dax's hands stopped moving. He looked at her. Really looked at her. I was supposed to kill you, Kira continued. She was looking at her hands now. At her claws. Return to my unit. Show them proof. Earn my name. Become someone instead of just Kira. And now? Dax asked quietly. Now I'm a traitor. She said it simply. Like stating a fact. The sky is purple. Water is wet. I am a traitor. They will kill me if they find me. If I'm lucky they will make it quick. The shelter suddenly felt smaller. Dax cleared his throat. Went back to the wiring. Well, here's a good name. Don't need anything else in my opinion. He twisted two wires together. Showed her the connection. See? You wrap them like this. Then the current can flow without resistance. She leaned closer. Watch. Can I try? Dax handed her a set of wires. She took them carefully. Her claws retracted fully so she could grip the thin copper strands. She copied his movements. Slow. Precise. When she twisted the connection, a small spark jumped. The light on the control panel flickered. Came back on. Stronger now. Success. Her eyes widened. Just a little. Just enough for Dax to notice. This is interesting, she said. He grinned. Engineering? Yeah. Better than killing. She looked at him. Tilted her head. Something that might have been agreement passed across her face, but she did not say anything. Just turned back to the wires and did another connection. And another. The days started to develop a rhythm after that. Mornings Dax would check the beacon. Still transmitting. Still hoping. Then he would work on repairs. The shelter. The communications array. Whatever needed fixing. And Kira would watch. After a while, watching became helping. She learned fast. Scary fast. Within a day she could splice wires as well as he could. He hummed while he worked. Did not even realize he was doing it at first. Old songs. The kind his mom used to play on long road trips back on Earth. Country music. Slow and twangy. Songs about trucks and heartbreak and dusty roads that all sounded kind of the same but in a good way. Kira would stop what she was doing when he hummed. Her head would tilt to the side. Her eyes would half close. Like she was trying to understand something that did not make sense. Music. The concept seemed to confuse her. What is that sound you make? She asked one afternoon. Humming. It's music. You know. Songs. Songs? Yeah. Music. For fun. For feeling things. He tried to explain it, but the words felt clumsy. How do you explain music to someone who had never heard it before? She did not ask more questions. Just listened when he hummed. Sometimes her fingers would tap against the floor in time with the rhythm. Unconscious. Automatic. Like some part of her understood even if her brain did not. But the nights were harder. She had nightmares. Bad ones. Would wake up gasping like she was drowning. Her claws would extend. Her whole body would coil ready to fight. The first few times it happened, Dax made the mistake of getting too close too fast. She nearly took his eye out. He learned. When she woke up screaming, he would stay where he was. Speak softly. Low and calm. It's okay. You're safe. Just a dream. You're in the shelter. It's just me. Dax. You're okay. Over and over until the wildness left her eyes. Until she remembered where she was. Who he was. That she was not back wherever the nightmares took her. On the fifth night she woke up crying. Actually crying. Tears running down her violet cheeks. She curled into a ball and made sounds that were not quite sobs but close. Dax sat against the far wall and kept talking. Soft. Steady. Until she fell back asleep. In the morning she did not mention it. Neither did he. They trained you young, Dax said one night. They were sitting on opposite sides of the shelter. Eating ration bars. The question had been building in him for days. He finally let it out. Kira stopped chewing. Swallowed. 5 years old. Jesus. They took us from our families. Said we were chosen. Special. That we would protect our people from the human monsters. She looked down at her claws. Turned her hands over. Studying them. They showed us pictures. Videos. Humans killing Valkyrie. Burning our cities. They said you were demons. That you would kill us all if we showed mercy. If we hesitated even once. Her voice stayed flat but her hands were shaking. I believed them, she said quietly. Why wouldn't I? I was 5. They were adults. They were supposed to protect us. Instead they made us into weapons. Dax did not know what to say to that. What could you say? Sorry seemed too small. Too pointless. And now, he asked instead. Now I don't know what I believe. She looked at him. Those black eyes that had been full of hate on day one now just looked tired. Lost. You're human. You're supposed to be a monster. But you saved me. Fed me. Taught me to fix things. Monsters don't do that. Some do, Dax said. Some humans are monsters. Some Valkyrie probably are too. But not all. Not even most. Just some. She thought about that. Nodded slowly. The raiders came on the 7th day. Dax heard them first. Voices outside. Rough and loud. The kind of voices that belonged to people who took what they wanted and did not care who they hurt. Scavengers. Pirates. Whatever you wanted to call them. They had probably tracked his ship's crash site. Come looking for salvage. Technology. Anything worth selling. 6 of them. Dax could see them through the viewport. Armed with energy weapons. Knives. One had what looked like a homemade flamethrower. They were spreading out. Surrounding the shelter. Company, Dax said. He reached for his sidearm. Checked the charge. Half power. Enough for maybe 10 shots. Not great odds. Kira was already moving. She went from sitting to a combat crouch in one smooth motion. Her claws extended. Her whole body changed. The curiosity and confusion that had been in her eyes for days disappeared. What replaced it was the warrior. The weapon. The thing they had trained her to be. "Stay behind me," she said. "Like how?" The first raider kicked the door. It held. Reinforced. But it would not hold forever. Dax moved to the right side of the door. Kira took the left. They did not discuss it. Did not plan it. Just moved into position like they had done this 100 times before. The door blew inward. 3 raiders rushed through. Kira was faster. She moved like liquid violence. Her claws found the first raider's throat before he could even raise his weapon. The second one got a shot off. Missed. She was already behind him. One strike. He went down. The third raider turned his weapon toward her. Dax shot him. Clean hit. Center mass. The raider dropped. More coming through the door. 2 more. Dax took one. Kira handled the other. They moved around each other without thinking. Dax covered high. Kira went low. When he needed to reload, she was there. When she got flanked, he was there. It was like dancing. Violent, terrible dancing, but dancing all the same. They knew where the other would be. What the other would do. Reading each other's rhythm without words. The last raider saw what was happening. Saw his 5 friends down. Saw the human and the Valkyrie working together like some kind of nightmare team. He did the smart thing. He ran. Silence fell over the shelter. Broken only by heavy breathing. Dax and Kira stood in the middle of the room. Blood on the floor. Bodies that would need to be dealt with. The smell of ozone from the energy weapons. Kira looked at Dax. He looked at her. "Good teamwork," Dax said. The corner of her mouth twitched. Just barely. The ghost of something that might have been a smile. The first smile Dax had seen from her. "Yes," Kira said. "Good teamwork." And for the first time since she had tried to kill him in the jungle, Dax thought maybe they were going to be okay. The ship appeared in the sky without warning. One moment there was nothing but purple clouds and distant thunder. The next moment there was a warship cutting through the atmosphere like a knife through skin. Dax saw it first. He had been working on the final repairs to his own ship. 3 weeks of scrounging parts and jury-rigging systems and praying to whatever gods might be listening. The ship was almost ready. Almost flyable. Maybe another day or 2 and they could leave this planet behind. Now there was no more time. The Valkyrie warship was sleek and black. Sharp angles. Weapon ports. The kind of ship designed for one thing only. Hunting. It descended fast and precise. Whoever was piloting knew exactly where they were going. Kira saw it a second later. She had been inside the shelter gathering their supplies. She stepped out into the clearing and looked up. Every muscle in her body went rigid. Her skin paled 2 shades. Her claws extended without her even seeming to notice. "My unit," she whispered. "They tracked me." Dax felt his stomach drop. "Can you fight them?" She shook her head. Did not take her eyes off the descending ship. "They're my sisters. My trainers. The ones who raised me. Who made me into this." She gestured at herself. At the warrior. At the weapon. "I can't fight them. Kira? You don't understand. They're not just soldiers. They're family. The only family I've ever known." The warship landed 200 yards away. The landing struts crushed the glowing vegetation flat. The engines kicked up clouds of dirt and steam. For a moment everything was obscured. Then the cargo ramp lowered with a hydraulic hiss. 12 warriors came down that ramp. Dax had never seen Valkyrie warriors in formation before. It was terrifying. They moved like parts of one creature. Synchronized. Precise. Each one was armed and armored. Each one had the same look in their black eyes. The look of someone who had been trained to kill since childhood and had never learned to do anything else. They spread out. Created a perimeter. Locked down the area with professional efficiency. No wasted movement. No hesitation. And leading them was someone who made even the other warriors look dangerous. She was older than Kira. Maybe 30 in human years. Scars covered her visible skin. Not the random scars of accidents but the deliberate scars of ritual marking. Battle honors. Kill counts. Each one told a story written in pain. She wore armor that had seen real combat. Scorched. Dented. Repaired 100 times. Her eyes found Kira and stayed there. "Kira," the scarred warrior said. She spoke in Valkyrie. The translator on Kira's collar crackled to life. "You were supposed to kill the human. Instead you play house with it." The contempt in her voice could have stripped paint. Kira flinched. Actually flinched. Dax had seen her fight raiders without blinking. had seen her splice live power cables with steady hands. But one sentence from this woman made her look small and young and scared. "He's not in it," Kira said quietly. She was looking at the ground. Could not meet the older warrior's eyes. "What?" "He's not in it," Kira repeated. Louder this time. She raised her head. "He's a person. He has a name. Dax." The scarred warrior's expression did not change. "You defend a human. Use its name like it matters." She walked closer. Slow steps. Predatory. "I am Vera. I trained you. Fed you. Taught you everything you know. And this is how you repay that? By betraying your own kind." "I didn't betray anyone. You had one mission. One simple task. Kill the human. Return to us. Instead you've been here for weeks living with it. Learning from it." Vera spat on the ground. "Pathetic." Kira's claws extended. Retracted. Extended again. A nervous tick. Dax could see her hands shaking. Vera stopped a few feet away. The other warriors held their positions. A loose circle. Escape routes cut off. This had been planned. Practiced. They knew exactly what they were doing. "I'm giving you one chance," Vera said. Her voice went soft. Dangerous soft. "Complete your mission. Now, kill the human and you'll be forgiven. We'll bring you home. You'll earn your full name. Your place among us. Everything will be like it was." Silence. The wind blew through the clearing. The glowing plants pulsed with their slow rhythm. Kira's claws extended one more time. Dax stood beside his ship. Tools still in his hands. He could see where this was going. Could feel it in his bones. He put down the tools slowly. Carefully. Did not reach for his weapon. That would just make things worse. "It's okay," he said. He kept his voice level. "Come." Like they were just having a normal conversation. "I understand. You have to do what you have to do." Kira turned to look at him. Really look at him. Her black eyes searched his face like she was memorizing it. Like she was trying to find something she was afraid she would lose. Dax saw the moment she made her decision. Saw it happen in her eyes. The fear faded. The doubt disappeared. What replaced them was something harder. Something certain. "Home," Kira said slowly. She was still looking at Dax. "I don't think I have one anymore." Then she turned to face Vera. "No." Vera tilted her head. "No. I won't kill him." Kira's voice was steady now. Strong. "And I won't go back." The other warriors shifted. Weapons came up. 12 sets of black eyes focused on Kira with the kind of intensity that meant violence was coming. Vera's expression did not change. Did not need to. Her voice said everything. "Then you're a traitor. And traitors die." She did not give an order. Did not need to. The warband attacked as one. Kira moved to meet them. It was 12 on 1 and Kira fought like something out of a nightmare. She was fast. Faster than Dax had ever seen her move. She met the first warrior with a spinning kick that sent the Valkyrie flying. Ducked under the second's claws. Came up inside the third's guard and struck hard. But these were not raiders. These were her equals. Warriors trained by the same brutal methods in the same brutal schools. They knew her moves because they were their moves too. They anticipated because they had learned the same lessons. Dax grabbed his weapon. Started firing. Dropped one warrior. Then another. The energy bolts burned bright in the dim light. But there were too many. They kept coming. One of them broke away from the pack. Came at Dax. He shot her. Hit her in the leg. She barely slowed. Claws reached for his throat. He rolled. Came up firing. She went down. Kira was surrounded now. Fighting 3 at once. She was holding her own but barely. Blood ran down her arm. Her breathing was getting ragged. Vera watched from the edge of the fight. Calculating. Patient. Then she moved. She was faster than the others. Faster than Kira. The blade came from nowhere. A long curved thing that caught the light. It found the gap in Kira's defense. Found the soft place between her ribs. Went in deep. Kira's eyes went wide. She stumbled. Her claws dropped. Blood poured from the wound. Dark purple blood. Too much blood. She dropped to her knees. Something broke inside Dax's chest. Something primal and furious and protective. He did not think. Just moved. Charged across the clearing. One of the warriors tried to stop him. He shot her point blank. Kept running. A plasma bolt hit him in the shoulder. Pain exploded through his arm. Burned through muscle and nerve. He ignored it. Grabbed Kira's body. She was so light. Too light. The ship was 20 yards away. Might as well have been 20 miles. He ran anyway. Energy bolts burned the air around him. One hit the ground at his feet. Another scorched his leg. He did not stop. Did not slow. Just ran with Kira in his arms and death chasing them both. The ship ramp was down. He had left it down. Thank God he had left it down. He hit it at full sprint. Stumbled. Caught himself. Kept going. Close ramp, he shouted at the ship's computer. Emergency launch sequence. The ramp started closing. Weapons fire sparked off the hull. The engines roared to life. Not enough time for a proper startup. Not enough time for safety checks. Just raw power and hope. Dax dropped into the pilot seat. Kira fell into the co-pilot chair beside him. Blood everywhere. On the seats. On the controls. On his hands. Stay with me, he begged. His hands flew across the controls. Engines to full. Shields up. Weapons hot. Please, Kira. Stay with me. Her hand moved. Found his. Squeezed so weakly he almost missed it. The ship lifted off. Vera's warriors were firing everything they had. Plasma. Kinetic rounds. Something that might have been a missile. The shield screamed. Red lights flashed across every panel. Dax pulled the stick back. The ship climbed. Straight up through atmosphere. Through the purple clouds and the electric storms and everything else this planet had tried to kill them with. Behind them the Valkyrie warship was launching. Coming after them. Of course they were coming after them. Come on, Dax muttered. His shoulder was on fire. His leg was numb. But his hand stayed steady. Come on, baby. Just a little more. The atmosphere fell away. Stars appeared. Beautiful and cold and infinite. The hyperspace drive spun up. The calculations locked in. Anywhere. Anywhere but here. The Valkyrie ship was gaining. Weapons hot. Locked on. Dax hit the jump. Reality twisted. The stars stretched. Everything went white and then black and then colors that did not have names. They jumped. And left the Valkyrie warship and Vera and all of it behind. In the co-pilot seat Kira's eyes fluttered. Blood ran from her wound. So much blood. Her hand was still holding his. Kira, Dax said. He could not look away from the hyperspace tunnel. Could not let go of the controls. But he squeezed her hand back. Held on tight. Kira, please. Stay with me. Her fingers twitched. Weak but there. They flew through hyperspace together. Bleeding and broken and alive. For now. The station was called Waypoint 7. Nobody knew why. There was no Waypoint 1 through 6. At least nobody Dax had talked to knew where they were. Maybe they had never existed. Maybe someone just thought 7 sounded better than 1. It orbited a purple dwarf star out in the middle of nowhere. 3 weeks from the nearest major trade route. The kind of place people came when they did not want to be found. When they needed to disappear for a while. The station had one rule. No questions. You paid your docking fee and kept your business to yourself and everyone got along fine. No extradition treaties. No alliance jurisdiction. No Valkyrie patrols. Safe. The medical bay had saved Kira's life. Barely. Dax had carried her off the ship leaving a trail of purple blood across the docking platform. The station doctor had taken one look at the wound and shaken his head. Too deep. Too much damage. But he had tried anyway. 12 hours of surgery. Synthetic tissue. Bone grafts. Blood transfusions from a universal donor bank. She had lived. That was 6 weeks ago. Now Kira sat in the tiny apartment Dax had rented with the last of his emergency credits. 2 rooms. A kitchen area that was barely big enough to turn around in. A bathroom with a shower that only worked half the time. The furniture looked like it had been old when the station was built and the station was not young. But it was theirs. Nobody was shooting at them. Nobody was hunting them. That made it feel like a palace. Kira had a data pad in her lap. She had been sitting in the same spot on the worn couch for the past 3 hours. The screen glowed with human script. Letters. Words. Sentences. She was learning to read. It was harder than engineering. Harder than combat. With combat you just moved. With engineering you just connected things until they worked. But reading required you to make sense of symbols that meant different things depending on what order you put them in. It made her head hurt. She had been at it for weeks. Every day. Hours and hours. Her progress was slow but it was progress. She could recognize most letters now. Could sound out simple words. Yesterday she had read an entire sentence without help. It had been about a cat. She did not know what a cat was but she had read the sentence. The door opened. Dax came in carrying food containers. Real food. Not the ration bars they had lived on for weeks. The smell hit her immediately. Something spicy. Something that made her mouth water. Got a job offer, Dax said. He set the containers on the small table. His shoulder was still bandaged. The plasma burn had been bad. But he was healing. Moving better each day. Kira looked up from the datapad. A job. Yeah. Escort mission. Corporate transport needs protection through the Sigma Belt. Pirates have been hitting that route hard lately. He opened one of the containers. Steam rose. Dangerous, but it pays well. Really well. We? Kira asked. She set the datapad aside carefully. Dax paused. Looked at her. Yeah. Team contract. They want both of us. Your combat skills and my piloting and tactics. Apparently word got around about what happened at the docking bay when we arrived. That day had been messy. 3 bounty hunters had recognized Dax from an old warrant. Minor stuff. Smuggling charges from 2 years back. But they had tried to collect anyway. Bad decision. Kira had been barely out of medical and still moving slow, but she had put all 3 of them down in under a minute. Station security had reviewed the footage and ruled it self-defense. The bounty hunters had started it. But people had noticed. A human and a Valkyrie working together. Fighting together. That was unusual. Rare enough that it had gotten attention. People hire us together? Kira said slowly. She was still getting used to the idea that she could be something other than a weapon pointed at humans. Turns out a human Valkyrie team is pretty rare. Marketable. Dax grinned. That easy smile that made the corners of his eyes crinkle. They're offering triple standard rate. Half up front. What do you think? She considered. Thought about it seriously. Will there be fighting? Probably. It's the Sigma Belt. Pirates don't usually ask nicely. Good. She looked down at the datapad. At the letters that still felt like a foreign language. I'm better at that. Still learning the rest. The frustration must have shown on her face. Dax's smile softened. You're doing great. You've learned more in a month than most people learn in 6. Hell, I know humans who can't read as well as you can now, and they've been at it their whole lives. A memory flickered across her mind. Uninvited. Unwanted. Vera's face. The disappointment in her eyes. The blade sliding between her ribs. The feeling of falling. Of failing. Kira's breath hitched. Her claws extended slightly. The old training kicking in. Threat response. Fight or flight. Dax saw it. He always saw it. He stopped talking. Did not push. Just waited. Without thinking about it, without planning it, Kira stood up and moved to the couch beside him. She sat down. Let her shoulder rest against his. The contact was warm. Solid. Real. It pushed the memories back. Made them smaller. More distant. Better? Dax asked softly. Yes. He did not ask what had triggered it. Did not need to. He just opened the food containers and started talking about the job. The route. The ship they would be escorting. The potential threats. Normal things. Work things. Things that did not involve trauma or blood or betrayal. Kira listened. Added her own thoughts. Tactical considerations. Ambush points along the route. Ways to position their ship for maximum effectiveness. It felt good to talk about this. To use her skills for something productive. Something that was not just destruction. They sat like that reviewing the details. Eating the spicy food that burned her tongue in a good way. The station hummed around them. Life support. Air recyclers. Thousands of people living their lives in a metal can floating in space. At some point Kira's eyes grew heavy. The warmth of the food. The warmth of Dax beside her. The feeling of safety. It all combined to make her drowsy. Her head tilted. Almost like it had a mind of its own. It came to rest against his shoulder. She felt him shift slightly. Adjusting to support her weight. She felt his hand move. Hesitate. Then gently rest on her arm. Not holding her. Not trapping her. Just there. Still falling asleep on me, huh? His voice was quiet. Amused. Her eyes opened. She had not been fully asleep. Just resting. Just existing in a moment that felt peaceful. You're warm, she murmured. The words came out in English. Nearly perfect English. She had been practicing. And safe. First time I felt either. The words surprised her as much as they probably surprised him. She had not meant to say them out loud. But they were true. Back with her unit she had never felt safe. Never felt warm except from exertion or fever. Every moment had been about survival. About proving herself. About being ready for the next fight. Here with Dax in this tiny apartment that smelled like spicy food and old furniture, she felt both. You're safe now, Dax said. His voice had that quality it got sometimes. Serious. Like he was making a promise he intended to keep. I promise. I know. Kira closed her eyes again. Let herself sink into the warmth. Into the safety. That's why I stay. She felt more than heard his quiet laugh. Felt his shoulder move under her cheek. They sat like that for a while longer. Until the food was gone. Until the station's lights dimmed for night cycle. Until it was time to sleep. 2 days later they stood on the docking platform watching their ship being prepped. Dax had bought it with the advance payment from the job. Nothing fancy. A modified transport with upgraded weapons and shields. Fast enough to run. Tough enough to fight. Perfect for the kind of work they would be doing. Kira ran her hand along the hull. The metal was cool under her palm. Solid. Real. Ready? Dax asked. He was running through the pre-flight checklist on his datapad. Yes. They boarded together. Kira took the gunner seat. The controls felt natural under her hands. Weapon systems. Targeting. Shield distribution. This she understood. This made sense in a way reading still did not. Dax settled into the pilot seat. His hands moved across the controls with easy familiarity. He had been flying since he was 16. It showed in every movement. Every adjustment. Waypoint 7 control, this is transport ship Wanderer requesting departure clearance. The response came back immediately. Wanderer, you are clear for departure. Safe travels. The engines hummed to life. The docking clamps released. They lifted away from the station. Smooth. Easy. Like the ship was an extension of Dax's body. Space opened up around them. Stars scattered across the black. The purple dwarf star casting its strange light across the hull. Dax plotted the jump coordinates. The hyperspace drive spun up. That familiar feeling of reality getting ready to fold. Kira looked over at him. He was focused on the controls, but there was a small smile on his face. The kind of smile that said he was exactly where he wanted to be. She felt her own face change. Felt muscles move in ways they had not moved in years. Maybe ever. She was smiling. Really smiling. Not the ghost of one. Not almost. An actual smile. She had a name. Just Kira. But it was hers and it was enough. She had a purpose. Not killing. Not destroying. But protecting. Building. Creating something new. And she had someone who saw her as more than a weapon. Who saw the person underneath the scars and the training and the conditioning. Who saw her. That was enough. More than enough. The ship jumped. Reality twisted. The stars stretched into lines. They flew into the unknown together. Partners. Team. Maybe something more in time. But for now this was enough. The universe was huge and full of dangers and opportunities. They would face it together. And for the first time in her life Kira was not afraid. She was ready.